Thank you, Anish. Up next, we have a lesson from the founders of Women Defining AI, which is a community committed to educating and empowering women to use artificial intelligence. Women currently make up about 40% of the data analytics and AI roles in the United States, and several studies have shown that a far smaller share of women use Gen AI than men. Women Defining AI is dedicated to closing that gap.
Helen, Kupp, and Nichole Sterling bring deep experience and expertise to the Women Defining AI community. And I would say to so many of us every day as we see what they're posting and talking about when it comes to our ability to experiment with AI and make sure that workers are empowered with this tool. Helen is the co-author of a Wall Street Journal best-selling book, How the Future Works, Leading Flexible Teams to Do the Best Work of Their Lives. She is also an experienced tech operator, an executive, former Slack, Bain, Thumbtack, really amazing things. And Nichole is just a utility leader, truly like combining tech, finance, PR, all into technology operations. So today we're very privileged to have the both of them here with us, not only helping us think about who gets to define and talk about, and lead the story that Anish was talking about when it comes to AI and just technology in general, but specifically, we're going to be focused on thinking about how to really use these tools and how to make sure that, again, workers are given the access and the opportunity to use technology, AI, very well.
Thank you for that intro. Again, I am Helen. This is Nichole, and we're the co-founders of Women Defining AI. And I love, actually, that we're following Anish because we get to talk all about how you can stop saying AI and start using AI. And so we know we have both in-person and virtual audiences today. So we're going to do something a little different and make this hybrid interactive. Not usually do you get a speaker to tell you to pull out your phones, please, and scan this QR code so you can join us for our live questions, or go to menti.com and enter this code. You'll see a bunch of that across the slides.
We hope to see many of those cat emojis being clicked. So there we go. Thank you.
Okay, we will start easy. How often are all of you using AI for work or for your personal life? Every day. Nice.
All right.
We've got a good crowd here.
Mm-hmm.
At least a few times a week seems to be the majority, which is awesome. Quite a lot of sophisticated users here, but as we heard from Anish before, 75% of workers are using AI at work. So this isn't a surprise, but I would love to hear, what are some of those AI use cases that you find extremely valuable to your workflows today? Especially for those of you who are using it every day or at least 2 times a week. I want to see some really great responses here. Content generation, analysis, a lot of writing and brainstorming. I love it.
Yeah.
So you may notice that some of those use cases that I'm calling out are not role specific or industry specific, but they're pretty generalized. And that's the thing. Gen AI is a general purpose tool. I love this. I can't read any of the details anymore. But it's not surprising that we heard 70% from Anish, but another study, that 70% was about skills that are changing, but it's expected that 90% of jobs will be affected by Gen AI in the next couple of years, which should not surprise anyone in this room at this point.
Yep.
But we can't just let that happen. We also know, and Charter has research on this as well, that the adoption of AI is jagged. Not everyone is experimenting with AI regularly. Very few people are using it beyond, advanced search tool. And we can see here that not only is there a gap in adoption across age groups, but consistently the women are lagging in adoption and experimenting than men are. And if we aren't intentional about how we drive adoption in our organizations and our teams, we risk deepening the inequalities that exist at work. So that is absolutely why Nichole and I co-founded Women Defining AI, is to help bridge this gap. And one of the most important things that we've learned is that, yes, we're solving for women, but actually the same lessons apply to anyone who is overwhelmed by the AI hype, who feels like this is just not part of their jobs right now and I don't have time for it. So how do we solve for that? Well, you heard it earlier. Don't just say AI, start using it. And I encourage everyone in this room after our talk to hopefully have some ideas for additional ways that you might use and try AI, because if there's anything that we teach, it is that learn by doing is your best way forward.
Okay, so let's get at some use cases. First question, when I'm thinking through a problem, I assess the problem through how many different perspectives do you typically take on? There we go. It's coming in. 6 perspectives are at 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So this actually mimics what we thought. And the reason is because we often have the limitations of just time and access to people for the feedback. So this is going to be our first use case, asking for multiple perspectives. And here you're going to see that I'm going to query ChatGPT. I'm going to say, hey, please identify the impact to a parental leave policy. Go through the various levels of the organization, different departments, and then find the perspectives that I'm missing. And so here you're going to see it go through this. We have backup. This was a thing. Hold on just a moment. And there we go. All right. So here it is, and it's actually breaking down the impact. It's giving me the positive impacts. It's giving me the challenges. It's breaking it down through seniority. It's then going across departments, HR, finance, marketing, and sales. And then finally, what it's going to do is it's going to pull in those perspectives that things I'm missing, such as non-birthing parents or part-time employees or folks at the intersection of different identities. And so this is what AI is really good at, a first draft, a little bit of research, right, just to get us going, and it does it very fast. Now, let's go to another example, and this is taking it to the next level with ChatGPT's voice-only mode. And this advanced mode is going to take on another perspective, which is that of our coach going through, as I go through a customer service training. I need some help.
See if this works. Here we go.
I'd like to run through a simulation of a customer service call where you act as a very angry customer trying to get a refund, and I will be the customer service rep.
Sure, let's do it. I'll start off. I've been on hold for over an hour, and this is ridiculous.
Be more angry.
In a more angry tone? This is completely unacceptable. I've wasted my entire afternoon trying to get through to someone. I demand a refund for the useless product you sent me, and I want it processed immediately. This level of service is outrageous.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Let me go start our refund process, but I would love to get your feedback on how this product didn't suit your needs.
Still fuming. Feedback. How about you start by making things right with a refund? I bought this product expecting it to work, and instead, it broke down within a week. I don't want excuses. I want my money back.
No, I totally understand. No excuses. I'm actually processing the refund now, and you should see it back in your accounts, credited to you in a couple of days, and that is absolutely resolved.
Calming down slightly. Well, I appreciate you taking care of the refund. I just hope you improve your quality control so other customers don't have to go through this.
I absolutely agree. And we are definitely taking note of the situation and your product. And when you're able to return it, we'll also make sure to catalog any defects so that we're improving our product experience. Thank you so much for at least calling in and letting us know how we can support you and get you refunded right away.
All right. I appreciate you handling this. I'll be returning the product as soon as possible. Thanks for your help.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Can you give me 2 areas where I could have done better on this call?
You did a great job staying calm and professional. 2 areas for improvement could be addressing the customer's wait time, addressing the customer's frustration about being on hold for a long time, could help diffuse some tension. For example, I apologize for the long wait time. I understand how frustrating that can be. Offering a gesture of goodwill. To further placate the customer, you could offer a small gesture, like a discount on a future purchase or free expedited shipping as a token of goodwill.
Not bad, huh? Yeah. And so also fantastic to use advanced voice mode when you are needing to have a difficult conversation with a loved one or potentially an employee, and also fantastic for salary negotiations.
Okay, information overload. None of us have this problem, I'm sure. If you could use the scales to tell us how much you agree or disagree with these information overload statements, like, I'm able to stay up to date on new research in my field. It's really easy to consolidate multiple streams of related information to form a perspective. And I like and find time for long form reading and processing, like writing strategy documents.
Mm-hmm. Fun.
This group is very good and a little skewed around staying up to date on new research in their field. I'm just going to say that.
And I love how the cat emojis are still coming through. Thank you, everyone.
You all are getting the essence of mentees. Okay. We know that especially in today's world of work, information is everywhere. And so I actually really love this demo of Google's Notebook LM, which is one of the tools in which you can start to ask questions of your data, articles, URLs, documents. And so let me show you this demo. You may know Nick Bloom, a Stanford professor who does a lot of research on hybrid work. He published an abstract recently from Nature that I wanted to read, but didn't have time to process all of the intricacies of a Nature.com paper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so grabbed the URL, added it as a Notebook LM source data. And we're not going to wait for the entire generation time, but one of my favorite things is to actually generate a deep dive audio overview. Because if you're anything like me, you much rather listen to podcasts on the go.
Huh. It seems like it's the hot topic these days.
Definitely. Everyone seems to have an opinion on if it's good or bad.
Yeah. Is it going to be the end of productivity as we know it?
Mm-hmm.
Or will it lead to that perfect work-life balance everyone's after?
Right. Everyone wants to know.
Well, you've sent us some really fascinating research from Nature on this topic, and we're excited to dig into it. This isn't just like someone's opinion, though.
No, definitely not.
We're talking about one of those big randomized and controlled trials.
Which is great.
Yeah, and that's important because, as you know, in the research world, that's like the gold standard, right?
Absolutely. It means we can be really confident in the results.
Exactly.
Over 1,600 employees. Wow, that's huge.
For example, they found that people who weren't managers,
So the non-manager.
yeah, they were a lot less likely to quit if they were in the hybrid group, like 40% less likely to quit.
40%. Wow, that's huge. Why is such a big difference between them and the managers, though?
Yeah, it's kind of strange, right? What makes the managers so different?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay, we're not going to listen to the entire podcast, but that was auto-generated with AI. A two-host conversational overview of a research paper on hybrid work and data, which is kind of incredible. We really do live in a world where there's so much more information and less meaning for us and less time for us to extract that information. But one of the important lessons actually from this demo is that when we were coming up with this use case and scenario, it didn't start from the Nature.com research paper. And actually, Notebook LM has been around for about a year. And I honestly, despite this being my job and my everyday to experiment, didn't use Notebook LM at all until someone in our community posted this really fun use case about adding your LinkedIn profile and generating a podcast about yourself to be your greatest hype podcast ever. It's incredible. And it was so fun and funny to listen to it that I was sold. I did it and I was like, wow, what other things can I put in here to generate podcasts about? And it's just a reminder that as you're experimenting and driving adoption within your workplaces, that it's not just about being the most productive. You want to make it fun so that people actually want to try something that is very new for them and sometimes a little bit scary.
All right, next question. How many of you have written code? Don't be shy.
I see some hand raises. This is awesome.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We figured that a majority of you were not, had not written code. And this is actually reflective of a theme that we've been hearing over the past year, almost year and a half, is that this idea that I'm not technical enough to do AI or to learn AI. But the great thing is that you don't have to be technical in order to start building and solving for your own use cases. And in fact, here is going to be me playing with, you want to play it?
I'm going to play it.
Yep, you're going to play it. This is me going to Claude. We just learned about Claude in the previous session. So I'm going to Claude and I'm saying, hey, I need you to build me a total compensation simulator. I want to be able to toggle, the salary, the different benefits, so that I can explain to an employee their total compensation. I give it the prompt. It is writing the code for me. And then boom, I have a clickable simulator. And I can toggle the salary. I can say, actually, I want the medium healthcare option. I can toggle the 401k. I have been an HR person of one before, right? A department of one. And this idea that I can now build for myself without asking for engineering resources, not that I ever would have gotten them, but that I can build and be solving for my own problems, that's huge. Experimentation can now happen across roles, across different seniorities and functions. That's a big deal.
Okay. Our last sort of demo here is a little bit more of an advanced demo. And what you've seen so far is how you can get started with one of these tools right away. Easy starter experiments to try. And hopefully it helps you generate some new inspiration and ideas. But I think what's really interesting is as your teams, as people start to experiment more with what's possible, the bigger aha moment and the bigger opportunity is how you start to put the Lego blocks together and go beyond these single use cases. And so what that looks like is if you have often run into this situation, which we have, given our work on women defining AI, we have to generate a lot of content in a lot of formats. It can go on LinkedIn or X or an internal memo. And now this is what you're looking at is a map to automate this. And what I'm using here is make.com, which is very similar to like a Zapier and others, which is a no-code platform. And what it's going to do is I'm going to add a link to a new article into a Google Sheet, and it's going to use AI to generate two different content pieces for me. One, which is a Twitter post about the content, and the second is a very different internal memo about what this new AI feature means for our company and what we should do. Looking up the OpenAI Dev Day 2024 announcements and features. It's just going to grab an article from VentureBeat. What I'm doing is adding it into a Google Sheet. There's lots of different ways to do this, but as a Google Sheet, it makes it easy for my team to consolidate interesting pieces of content. And what I'm doing here is I'm running this manually, but actually the automation can be set up to run every day, every hour. But this starts to open up the possibility of not just using AI to change the effectiveness of one person, but to use the AI to change the effectiveness of 10 people or 20 or a team. And what it's doing is using Perplexity to read and summarize the article link, and then using OpenAI models to create 2 versions of summaries. And they will pipe into my Slack account, because as a former Slack person, I'm always in Slack. You can do it over email or any other formats. And I have a prompt here, which basically says, summarize the article and send it out. And here are the 2 versions. So you can see actually it's sent into the same place. You can send one to Slack and one to email, but now I've got AI automated so that it can be a content machine for me. All I have to do is add the links, or I can email links, whatever format. But that's the real power, is starting to string together these use cases and create these larger systems where you can automate, you can take away the repetitiveness of the work that exists and spend much more time doing the pro-human things.
All right.
On the other end.
And so, a couple of things, and we'll close us down. Kind of echoing what's already been said, is we don't need real formal R&D labs going on right now. We need to put these tools into people's hands and let them start solving their own problems. And the reason why this is so important is because this technology is changing in the matter of weeks and months, not years. This is the progression of Midjourney over the course of only 1 year. It's happening fast. So a few things to leave you with. First, never let perfect be the enemy of good. Make learn by doing and experimentation just a part of your company ethos, right? The thing that we hate seeing the most is when people or companies feel like they need a big formal plan to roll out just to get going. No, set some guidelines, set some principles on safety and AI, but then move, just start going. Second, share and collaborate in public. New ideas spur other new ideas. And then you just start to get this building on from each other, building blocks. It's fantastic. This has been one of the most rewarding things that we've seen within our community of women defining AI. And last, it's not all about productivity. Remember the fun, remember the inspiring. That Google Notebook example, she pranked me and threw my own LinkedIn profile.
Oh yeah, I didn't do it for me, I did it for her.
Yeah, and she posted it on LinkedIn. I'm like, what is this? But it was lovely. I did it for another friend, and it brought tears to her eyes just listening to her career as a hype podcast. So remember the endearing, remember the fun. That's how we build experimentation muscle. Thank you, New York.